Tinapakuli na natin yung mga lamesa kung maaalala kung bumabak tayo. Para masabi din ko natin kung ilan tayo na nagpa-participate sa round table discussion.
Si Gizmo. 2011 sa SBCC. San Diego Comic Con. Tapos, ilan lang doon sa buong mundo. Nakakuha ako.
Magkano binili mo? 2,000?
Magandalaw tayo. Nag-aaral ka, nagbenta ako ng laruan. Nakukuha ko lang. Sabi naman nga, sir, huwag niyo pong bubuksan yan kasi ano yan, limited yan. Alam ko, may picturean. Tinitingnan ko na, angatin ako, makakapanaw-tater.
Sabi tayo sa mga natin dito sa harapan, may ibibigay ko sa inyong conference or round table kits na magbibigay sa inyo ng further information. So, lapit na po tayo at para po tayo ay makapagsimula ng mas maayos.
Round table. Pwede na ako sumama sa magbiyahin na ako na lang. Marunong.
Kasi si Mami support yun. Kasi si Mami din naman ang naging ano. Yung bata ako na may trabaho kasi happy me.
Hanggang ngayon.
Ako nabuti ko na kung gano'n yung Snoopy.
Alam mo, may tayo na gusto yung sampo na yung sigain. Ayaw ka rin na prefer ko yung pero mukha naman ako tayo may time na gusto ko yung yung 10 na birthday binili. Hindi ko alam kung ilang araw ko kinain yung
ayaw din ako kumpleto kasi gusto siya sinunod. Yung sa business kasi pinapalinapan. Kaya
I-move natin yung tables doon
pero happy meeting. Paano yan?
para mas
Sige, puro sa akin. Ay, mo yan. Sige,
magkakakawaan tayo at magkakainigan. Miss Mary, please take charge.
Paano yung Mr. dyan? Sa iyong address? Sila mo kaya dumami kasi may malaki ng pino. Kasi dito ang sakto.
Okay, ready na po ba tayo?
Okay, so sa lumaki kasi ako, may malaking tiko.
Hindi, bata pa rin siya. Bata din siya.
Hindi. Nagsimula siya sa dance na siya, nag-Japan siya. Yung si Excel, yung tropa niya, kami po na kilala ko na sa ayun, kasama ko kami ng nag-work ako doon si Excel, post na siya. Nag-kilala si Excel ng bago.
Pag-expedite according to para hindi tayo story dito sa harap.
Tropa niya pala yun. Albert Guerra.
Okay.
Professor P. De La Peña of UP Engineering Research and Development Foundation Incorporated. Phil Faida, OIC Deputy Director, Engineer, Petronilo B. Habay. Ms. Meg Rojas, Executive Director of Culture Aid Incorporated for the Manila Collectible Company. Director Yunga, friends, partners, and colleagues from the private and academic institutions, colleagues from the USD and other government agencies. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. We are delighted of your presence in today's roundtable discussion, and we are grateful for your presence this afternoon. Our conference this morning was very successful, and I hope for this afternoon session, the roundtable discussion, we will attain our objective. Our theme for today's roundtable discussion is from farm and soil to dress and joy. Or sa Tagalog, mula sa kahanan lupa hanggang baro at saya. Hindi siya baro at saya, wala lang siyang accent or stress end, no? Pero it's baro and saya. Bakit kaya saya? No? Bakit the usual baro and saya? Noong unang basa ko, it should be baro and saya. Actually, it is baro and saya. Kung sa English is joy, bakit hindi rest and happiness? Kasi pag happiness, meron kang reason to be happy, right? You're happy because you're here. You ate a good lunch a while ago. You're happy because you're healthy. But if you're joyful, there's no but or because. We are here not because of anything. We are here because of the joy that we are experiencing to be a part of this activity. Regardless kung saan kayo galing, regardless kung anong inyong napagdaanan ng biyahe patungo dito sa Bikutan, but still we are joyful because we know that we are one in our goal to achieve something this afternoon. So, sabi nga kanina, we are dreading the past. So, lang siya sabihin sa ibang kaparaan natin. We are dreading the past. Buhol-buhol natin ang nakaraan. And we are spinning the future. Pinag-iikot-ikot natin ang hinaharap. And we'll be dreaming our dreams or living our dreams or hinahabi natin ang ating mga panaginip or ang ating mga pangarap. So yan ang ating gagawin sa hapon ito. And I hope we will achieve our objective, our purpose, because today's activity, the roundtable discussion, is a very opportune time para sa mga diniscuss natin this morning on the textile conference. So at this point, I would like again to acknowledge the presence of our participants. So from DOST, we have DOST car. Please be acknowledged or acknowledge if you are here, DOST car, represented by our director, Mariano. And then we have DOST Region 1. Ayan. We have Region 2. We have another from USC 6. Thank you for coming. Are there any other USC regional offices represented? Region 10. Region 10, okay. No more. Okay, from we have ECOSI once again. Are you still here? And then we have PCW, or Philippine Commission on Women. Then we have Phil Faida, of course, sa ating Deputy Director. And we have the Tesoros. And of course, representative from Dawn. And from the state universities, the colleges, we have PUP. Kanan, taga PUP. What about from UP? Yan, maraming taga UP. PUP. Meron tayo from PUP. From Lippy Shoes. We have Design Center of the Philippines. We have the NFP. Are there any participants not mentioned or hold? DIMSU, or SRDI? Any other? Just raise your hand, please. If you're not acknowledged, because please give me the list. From Gawad Galina. So once again, we'd like to welcome you on today's roundtable discussion, and we hope for your active participation during the discussion. So to give you the rationale for the roundtable discussion, I would like to call on our director, TELA B. Ilumba.
Salamat, May. Papagpaumanhin ko ninyo kung medyo mahaba yung aking kwento sa inyo. Hold on, let me just check kung naka-load kami. Hold on. Yeah, sorry about that, belated realization. But while we wait, can I just ask, does everybody have a copy of the kit? Yung kung wala kayong copy ng kit, please let Angel know. Angel is holding a bunch of them. So you will find there the program of activities for this afternoon session. You will also find a set of questions, which are the questions that we would like to appreciate. Nakasama po ang inyong mga input para ma-validate po natin kung yung aming inaakala ay nasa tama pong pag-aakala. Susunod po makikita natin, mayroon pong materials na nakatitle ng From Farm and Soil to Dress and Joy. At susunod po ay ang pag-share sa akin mula sa aking mga kaibigan sa Gilpida sa Philippine Natural Fibers for Textile. And finally, you will find a base reference or material of what was presented as an S&D agenda in last year's TELA Serie 2015. So papagpaumanhin ko ninyo if I give you a little more background information kung paano po namin naisip or bigyan ng rasyonal ang pag-uusap na ito. So simulan po natin. Okay, nalampasan natin yan. Salamat, Nora, at binigay mo na ng explanation kung ano ang PRI, nalampasan ko na yan. I would point your attention to these classifications. Kung kayo, sino sa inyo nag-export? Familiar sa exports? Okay. So you know that meron tayong harmonized codes Yung mga codes na yan, ang ginagawa ng bawat country o bawat bansa sa buong mundo, they use this as reference codes when they are tracking exports and imports. So this is just material because kanina pinag-usapan natin yung trade and exports. Ang hindi siguro natin na-realize sa PJEPA, for example, sa Philippine-Japan export Philippine-Japan partnership agreement, ang economic partnership agreement, ang hindi natin na-realize na meron silang tinatawag na yung rules of origin two-step conversion process. Mula fiber to yarn to fabric, 2 steps yan. Or yarn to fabric, fabric to apparel, 2 steps. Pero kung hindi ka makagawa ng 2 steps, hindi mo siya pwedeng tawagin made in the Philippines. Okay? Hindi siya country of origin. So, bakit ko po ito gustong tignan? Can we go to the next slide, please? Just general trade data, but we wanted to focus in particular on natural fibers and man-made fibers para makita natin yung kanilang contribution sa total what is called fiber exports of the field or trade, hindi lang exports pati imports. So the next slide please. So makikita lang natin dito ang breakdown 2010 to 2014 that in the case of natural materials, we exported or we had a trade of 32%. Yung 32% na yun, broken down into vegetable textile fibers at 4%, cotton at 74%, silk at 5%, and all other animal, I did not realize that animal fibers, we had them at 17%. Slide please. So why was that material to me in particular? We wanted to find a way, bakit pa tayo nagsisiksikan sa natural? Eh ano ngayon? Bakit pa kailangan ng natural, no? Noong una, the rationale for us was, we work with what we have available. That was the first thing that came to mind. But if you look at the total trade and the movement, if you look at the green line is our exports. The blue line are our imports. So makikita natin that there is a real growth in terms of export possibilities for natural fibers. Okay? And if you look at the spread of countries, the green marks are the places in the world where we actually sell to or buy from in terms of natural fibers. In contrast, this is cotton. These are vegetable fibers, all others. This is cotton. If you look at where we are in cotton, we're importing far more than we are exporting. We're not able to export. It's zero. It's zilch, no? It's a zero range. So we need to therefore rationalize what exactly are we supposed to be looking at. So in terms of the other fibers, we have many opportunities, but in cotton, we have a negative trade or merchandise data. So then we have to look at what are these other developments in the world that is happening that should make us consider other possibilities. So we call this winds of change. In some places we call them weaves of change. Okay, we all know the reduce, the 3 R's. Everybody knows 3 R's. No? Reduce, reuse, recycle. But of recent note, it's all about rethinking, repurposing, and upcycling. Many of you are already familiar with these terms, and we can expound on this, but these are the new thinking that is prevailing in the market, especially as we are faced with many ecological considerations and climate change considerations. Next slide. Before we were used to the idea of cradle to grave, from the time you use it to the time you dispose of it, cradle to grave. But increasingly, we are looking at circular economies, cradle to cradle concepts. Whatever was used in one aspect can become either a technical input or another material input. But certainly you want it to be circulating and you want to have less waste. So it's a cradle-to-cradle concept. This is a model that was shared with us by Ananas Anam, Pinedex, on the use of pineapple. And it is really having a technical input as well as a material input. So very mentioned fast fashion. And of course, we know all of the brands out there. In the Philippines, wow, we are a magnet for so many of these brands, no? Fast fashion. Increasingly, just like in food, meron tayo slow food movement. The material that you have is talking about slow food movement. You want produce that is fresh, taken from the farms, and converted into natural, fresh materials. Well, in fashion, they also have what is called the slow fashion movement. This is the subject that we want to check out with every one of you here today. And the concept of farm to fashion and soil to skin, field to fashion, they come in many names. Just some examples of what we have found. There's London linen. They actually grew linen or flax in London, urban London. And you have the Grow Your Jeans project, which is something that is happening in Northern California. And you have the flax or the Kentucky hemp project. At this stage, I'd like to show a video of what this is. I think you can appreciate it better from that perspective if I share this with you. I was very floored because it's the very idea of what we want to see happen.
When the Commonwealth of Kentucky has a really strong history of being the largest hemp producer in America. This was a crop that built our nation. Betsy Ross's first American flag was made of hemp. We're trying to get back to our agrarian roots, and that was a time frame when we truly were an agrarian nation. We have flags made in China now. That's almost sacrilegious. The Kentucky Cloth Project is the definition for me, definition of agrarianism. I mean, this is what agrarianism is. It's people coming together to make things happen.
Hey girls, we're good. The Kentucky Cloth Project is taking fiber producers from Kentucky and making a woven fabric product out of that fiber. I graduated from the Air Force Academy in 2005. I went to Air Force Southern Command in Tucson, Arizona. And so I got to go to South America a lot. I fell in love with Peru. So I knew about all fibers before. I just never knew if they were in the United States. Their fiber is a luxury fiber. It's extremely thermal. It's soft. We're contributing 20 pounds of grade 2 sturdy alpaca fiber. My role is I'm a wool grower, so I'm providing wool. The emphasis on the hemp fiber blended, anytime that you can make more markets for products that you're already producing, it's a win. I'm very excited to be a part of the Kentucky Cloth Project. Fiber Shed is taking a community approach to textiles. It's overwhelming how powerful it is to have so many different pieces come together towards a common goal. It's really been exciting. I couldn't have made it up. I don't think you'd ever find a sheep person and an alpaca person and a hemp person all in one place.
Today we're freezing. Last quarter drove in from Nebraska with their newly designed hemp decorticator, and we'll actually be running this hemp through the decorticator and separating the bast fibers from the herd, so that this hemp can be softened and processed into a sustainable material that the Fiber Shed can then push through its partners.
This is our decorticator. We're just getting it set up right now for the Fiber Shed project. This is the first time we're going to be running it on good hemp, and we're really excited.
We grew the first federally authorized hemp farm in America for 50 years, disabled veterans. It's been overwhelming for me. It's really hard to explain how exciting it has been. The local people that have an interest in using this crop care about where it's grown, how it's grown. They care about how we take care of the land that we grow on. So I think that this represents a really huge moment in American agriculture.
This is an okay movement. It's gonna change the way our society looks at clothes. From a farmer's standpoint, the historic and the exciting part of how these people come together is making more markets for products that we already have. Farming in Kentucky has a big need.
With the start of the agricultural revolution, we're bringing back the past, bringing the past back forward to move us forward.
The textile industry is coming back to the United States. To be in it right now as a fiber producer is so relevant. We're not gonna let it fail. It's just a matter of, how many hurdles we're gonna have to not only jump over, but just push over.
We just have to keep fighting a good fight.
Sa America po, they're not just looking at little community types of projects, they're now talking about reshoring. Narinig na ninyo yung salitang offshoring. Di ba? Yung pinapalabas nila yung production kasi mas mura mag-produce sa ibang bansa. Pero ngayon, baliktad na po, they are reshoring. They're bringing them back to the US. Closer to home, allow me to share with you the Lotus flower production for a high-end Italian fashion brand. If you're familiar with Loro Piana, how many of you have heard the name? Loro Piana. Oh, kasi balik lang sweldo natin eh. So, yeah, this is like a small Hermes. They are a very high fashion brand. They do really high quality type of products. And this is work that they are doing with a community in Cambodia. Sorry, in Laos. Please. Thank you.
A gift of nature, a project, a vision. Lotus flower fabric is the latest advance in Loro Piana's quest for the world's rarest and most valuable fibers. The lotus flower floats on Lake Inle in Myanmar and is sacred to the people and cultures of the East. Its stems are also the source of a fine fiber, which local women spin by hand according to a ritual that has been repeated for centuries. Loro Piana is the first Western company to create fabric using this ancient process. Loro Piana is the first Western company to use this fabric, bringing its unique qualities to an entirely new audience. The fibers are spun by hand on site within 24 hours of collection, a delay of even a few more hours to undermine the quality of the material. It takes weeks of work on traditional hand looms to produce a few meters of fabric, which looks similar to linen but has the delicate subtlety of raw silk. The fabric is inherently breathable and exceptionally lightweight. This ambitious project involves creating a few limited edition pieces in lotus flower material for a highly discerning audience. Through Loro Piana's respect for the unique gifts of nature, the company has expanded the world's knowledge of this unique fiber, its history and sacred symbolism, and its natural properties. Rather than risk of extinction, this knowledge is being preserved and enhanced through Loro Piana's ongoing collaboration with the local population, ensuring that the resources and working techniques of the region are protected.
So they do this on a very small scale, but they're still able to do it. I think they only produce something like 700 pieces a year of suiting material coming out of the lotus. So just to put a bit of a context, I mentioned to you Chin Boy of Negros. I thought that they only had 800. He said, no, they already have about 10,000. They started with 8,000, 10,000. They likely have 30,000 heads of sheep. That's a lot of hair. That's a lot of wood. So there are many, many opportunities for us, but we have to be able to pull this together to find out what we can do together, connect all of our dots, as we mentioned earlier. In Habonga, they actually have Habonga in Caraga. We went and they actually have lotus. They don't know what to do with it. They do not know how to form it or to work with it, but they're there. And of course, not to mention, we have so much water hyacinth around us. And this is not the same. We have to say that the production, the process is not the same. This one of lotus seems to be simple. You just have to pull and it will already be, fibers and all that. Water hyacinth is not the same. And I will not say that it is, but They're there. So we have so much materials that we can actually play with. So okay, we can see the next slide. Okay, these are some of the products that come out of Loromiana from their Lotus project. It's very limited edition. Okay, and these are our weaves all around the country. The ability to do the weaves, not an issue. We have them, wonderful. We have them in great size, but the raw material, as you said very earlier, shared with us, ang gaganda nung nakikita niya, pero wow, the yarn is from wherever. And if we also, so okay, I just want to share with you very quickly, Kalina Nora already shared with you the slides of our handloom weaving innovation centers. This is just a rundown of where they are. We have 3 of them in Ilocos Norte, 2 of them in Cordilleras. We have 1 in Region 3, 4, Region 4, we have 1 in Malay, 1, Region 11 in Luzon, another, and we have also 1 in Cebu as well. We have 1 in Antique, 1 in Iloilo, and 1 in Cebu. Interspersed with the regional land production, hull and dyeing facilities. Okay, so they're already positioned in certain locations. And what we need now, this is now a picture of the weaves of our ASEAN neighbors, our neighbors in Southeast Asia. And we are so the same. We produce very similar materials and weaves and products and the quality and the kinds. And at the end of the day, there are certain communities, for example, that one in Laos, they've already done it in a scale that has attracted an international brand. That's the kind of model we are looking for. How do we upscale and upskill and uppull all of these communities which have the skill level, the creativity? But what we have to do is now connect the dot of the supply chain. Where are our supply chains? Logically, you would think that from where the weaving communities are, they must have stopped weaving. They will not start weaving if they do not have the raw materials to begin with. So from time immemorial, they must have been using a lot of their own natural resources and use that eventually for weaving. Unfortunately, it has become easier to use polyester instead of crafting their own. So this is the reason that we have wanted to engage you all. We have a set of questions for you that we would like you to help us answer. Past that. Those are just the countries that we were looking at to identify locations for. Okay, this is taken from the website of FiberShed. We have heard this young lady talk about FiberShed earlier. The concept is that you have within 100, 150 kilometer or mile radius, everything you need to make a product that you need to make. So kanina we talked about our town, our product. The concept is, sana you have the regional, you have what the region produces, you convert it into a higher value yarn, the yarn becomes a cloth becomes an apparel, the apparel is used by whoever, the business people, the corporate people, the school children, the government employees in the very same area. That's the ideal scenario. And any excess, intertrade, extra trade, take it out of the region before you even take it out of the country. So with that, I wanted just to give you a backdrop of this and to sort of give you some inspiration that it is very, very doable and very, very possible. But we need to know what each of us has, what each community, what each region would have that can then promote this. So at this juncture, allow me to welcome, to help us with the facilitation of this, our very own Undersecretary of SNT. He has now moved on to the University of the Philippines, where he has always been, and his first love of all, the profession of teaching and engineering at that. Please welcome Professor Fortunato de la Peña.
So, si Baby, ako lang mag-i-introduce mo sa susunod. Magandang hapon po sa inyo lahat. It's always good to be here at DOST, which has been my home for many years. The last 2 occasions I was in this lounge was retirement parties. Okay. One was for me. Anyway, we are here to take up the idea of from farm to passion or farm and soil to dress and joy. Mula sa kalat lupa hanggang palo at saya. And I think the material that has been given to us, this one, there is a portion which gives an introduction of 2 pages, okay, regarding the idea that Director Celia Alumba has articulated. So here you will find the material which starts with the PTRI hosting our TELA Nation Stakeholders Conference, and followed by the questions that we will try to answer to our small group discussions this afternoon. So it says here that the roundtable discussion is centered on the idea of supporting the supply chain to the possible establishment of regional yarn innovation centers, and to validate certain assumptions before going further. She already did a good presentation of the rationale, but the third paragraph here says, worldwide, with concerns over climate change and the ensuing fragility of our ecosystem, the tide is shifting towards slow fashion movements, much like for slow wool. Fresh produce straight out of the farms and the fields to the kitchen and table. And the fourth paragraph says here, this indicates to us that we have an opportunity to develop small yarn production centers as against the big vertical models of commercial mills which operated in the 60s and the 70s. So when we refer to the 60s and the 70s, maybe only those who are above 60 will remember those days when we had big textile plants, okay? Very big ones, you know, Nutex, Gentex, Pilsing. I remember I graduated from chemical engineering in 1969, and I had classmates who went to the textile industry. Okay, it was a big industry then, but for many reasons, of course, nawala siya. Okay, and today PTRI is focusing more on the business of Philippine fibers and all the related materials that we needed to process and to convert them into finished products. So the questions that have been raised here will be, one, do you think this idea will be applicable, okay, here in the Philippines, and if it is feasible? And of course, we have to identify which of these regions might be the possible venues and what materials are available there. And of course, we will have a sharing from Philippine Fiber Development Authority to our OIC Deputy Executive Director, Mr. Petronino Hamay, whom I will call in a short while, so that we will know the situation as far as the agricultural production side or the raw material side is concerned. Then there is also a question here regarding the kind of model that we may want to suggest as far as this Yarn Innovation Center is concerned. And I must mention at this point that I think there will be a big role that our state universities and colleges will play, or other higher academic institutions, particularly in the regions where these materials are located. Okay? And of course, how about the private sector? Whether they are open on this idea, whether they think this will be a potentially successful model, and what will be their interest in this particular model. There is also a listing here, and this is of course applicable to those who have knowledge, okay, on the community models that have been tried in other countries. Okay, many of them are ASEAN members: Myanmar, Cambodia, all of them here, Laos, Thailand, and Vietnam. And if you know other models, then you can indicate it here. So this is the question in the long run is whether this particular idea of yarn innovation centers, which will support our concept of from farm and soil to dress and joy, okay, will be visible, because this will be the kind of starting point by which PDRI and the collaborating agencies will proceed from. So at this point, I would like to call on Mr. Petronino Habay, the Officer in Charge Deputy Executive Director of the Philippine Fiber Industry Development Authority of the Department of Agriculture, to give us his presentation.
Thank you very much, Yusek, for the opportunity. And good afternoon to each and everyone. This morning, I heard the message of Secretary Montrego, and he mentioned that PTRI was able to blend I think 40 to 50% of the indigenous fiber. So I was thinking, because you started at I think 10 to 10%, and then you were able to have 40%. So I worried actually the supply of our natural fibers. Next slide. Okay. In the map, there are only 3 natural fibers that are commercially grown. First, we have the abaca. Actually, abaca is being grown from north to south, but mostly on the eastern part of the Philippines where there is the continuous rain or evenly distributed rainfall natin. Then we have also in northern Luzon, aside from abaca, we have also the mulberry, where it is used for feeding the silkworm. And on the lower side, in the central Luzon areas, we have abaca, pineapple, and silk. But mostly of the areas in the southern part, especially the Bicol region, we have the largest area for abaca plantation. But going back to the north side, we have the indigenous abaca located in the mountain province that is in Natonin, where we have around 800 hectares. Then on the southern part of the Philippines, most of the areas are planted with abaca. Then in the Visayas region, we have the pineapple and the mulberry. We'll be providing you the details of the areas and the number of farmers. The next slide, please. So in the Philippines, we have a total area planted with abaca. It's 176,549 hectares. That is the 2014 figure. We're still finalizing the 2014, and we're finalizing the 2015 figure. There are about 123,000 farmers involved. Next slide. In Benguet, we have only 1 hectare of abaca planted in the area, and in the mountain province, there are 774 hectares with 871 farmers. Actually, the mountain province is a naturally grown abaca. It's not planted. And the farmers are using as supply in harvesting the rice. But we have tested the area, and we found out that the abaca is a true type 1, and it will be used for the handicrafts and any other uses that is suitable for abaca. For example, DTI and TELA were working together to produce the wooden fabric in Natonin province, mountain province. Then in the southern area, southern Tagalog, there are a total of in central Luzon, by the way, we have also 800 hectares with 377 farmers. I will no longer read the data because it's already found in the handouts. Then the next slide, We have next slide. The next commercial fiber is the piña or the pineapple. There are 2,177 hectares that are presently being harvested for pineapple, and there are 1,270 farmers involved in the production. Next slide. Actually, there are two types of fibers being harvested. One is through the hand scraping method, which is found in Aklan, and the other one is in Palawan. There was a video presentation this morning showing the steps in the extraction of the fiber. And the other one is actually for fruit production, that is Hawaiian or Formosa queen varieties. After the harvest the fruits, then they're utilizing the leaves for fiber extraction. But they're using a different method in extracting the fiber. The method is the decortication process. That is a machine which actually could also extract other natural fibers like abaca, banana, manggi, and sisal. The next slide. In the southern Tagalog or in Palawan area, we have 67 hectares and there are 55 farmers. Actually, there is only one buyer, that is Mrs. Lim. And they are using the fiber for loom weaving, and they are exporting actually the public made in Palawan. In Bicol region, Camarines Norte, that is actually a Formosa variety. After the harvest the fruit, so they are decorticating the fiber to produce the fiber. That is a different type of fiber, very different to the scraping process. In the Western Visayas, the famous Aklan and Antique area. In Aklan, there are 21 hectares and 210 farmers. In Antique, there are 360 farmers. I just want to mention that the process in extracting the hand scrape method is very tedious and the production is very limited. The silk in the area planted is 138.5 hectares for the mulberry. There are 377 farmers involved in the production of foods. We have the areas in Car, Ilocos, and Cagayan Valley. Then we have also a very small area in southern Tagalog. But the biggest producer is the Negros Occidental, which is the Huiscan. I don't know if Mrs. Watanabe is attending the seminar or is not around. The next slides. Actually, these fibers were mentioned earlier this morning, and although we have already produced these types of fibers several years ago, but unfortunately, they are no longer produced commercially recently. First, we have the cotton. Actually, we have completed the location trials of BT cotton in 2015 in the Ilocos and the southern Tagalog. And supposedly the BT cotton commercializations have started in 2016, but unfortunately, there was a Supreme Court decision to stop commercializing the BT, especially the BT plant. So we are also affected, and they are revising the AO 8. Hopefully, within before the present economic terms will be completed, we will be able to revise the AO 8 for the BT. And the Philippines maintains non-BT cotton farms in the Ilocos Norte and and also part in the The other fiber which we have been producing in early 80s is the rami. It was mentioned this morning, the importance of rami. However, there is no commercial production of rami. The FIDA before, actually, That was in the 80s, where our Rami was known to be the best Rami fiber, but unfortunately, when China invested in producing Rami, which is very much cheaper than the Philippines, all of the farms were already left out. And many investors actually were bankrupt, especially in Negros, Occidental. And I just asked the Mindanao people if we have still available hunting materials, and hopefully there's still available hunting materials. So that is one of the fibers that we are also interested to propagate. But we just want an assurance that there is a clear market for this. The other one is banana. Banana actually in the late and the early 90s, we have been exporting banana fibers, decorticated fiber, that is after harvesting the fruits, we could produce the fiber through decortication, the leaf sheets. Then banana and piña we were exporting to Japan. A big volume of fibers were exported, but unfortunately, Japan stopped buying banana and even apple fibers. That's why, if there is a sure market, actually we could easily produce the fibers, because we have a large numbers of plantations in Mindanao planted with banana and also for the pineapple. So that ends my presentation.
Thank you very much, Sir Havay, for the valuable information. For our next presenter, she's the Deputy Executive Director of Culture Aid Incorporated and the Program Director of the recently conducted Fifth Nation Study Program, which was made possible through a collaboration with the National Commission for Culture and Arts, the PTRI, and the Manila Collectible Camp. For her presentation, she will be sharing some insights on Weave Nation and the challenges that needs to be addressed in working with the indigenous communities, particularly in our handloom weaving communities. Please welcome Ms. Meg Ross.
Good afternoon. So thank you, PRI, for inviting us and contributing to the discussions that we'll be having this afternoon. So I'm Meg Rojas. I am with Culture Aid, currently the Deputy Executive Director. I will be speaking on behalf of Cherise Aquino Tugade, who is the founder of our organization and also the founder of the Manila Collectible Company. So for our part, everything started with Manila Collectible Company. It is a small retail shop inside, some would call it a souvenir shop, inside Fort Santiago in Intramuros. The products that we sell there are all locally made, and we focus on two things. The icons of prehistory, Philippines, and products of our indigenous communities. So for TELA Nation, we will be speaking more on the part of the our experiences in dealing with in working with the indigenous communities. So last year, So last year, I mean, it's more, candid. So last year we held the Weave Nation project. So it's a study program where we invited, we ended up with 23 indigenous weavers from several communities. So we have Ifugao, we have Tingian from Apagao, we have Bagobo, Pipoli, Laan, Mandaya, and Maranao. Yes, Maranao. So why did we have this study tour? Let's go back to 2013 when Manila Collectible Company was founded. And this was brought about from the vision of Therese, our founder, that because she was brought up abroad. She studied in the States and she was one of those she was one of those individuals who wanted to get closer to her roots, to find her roots. And she found herself working with Living Asia and learning more about the indigenous communities. Eventually, she started teaching for the School of Living Traditions, SLTs, of the National Commission for Culture and the Arts. From there, she found the need to bring the products or the crafts of the indigenous community closer to the public or close to the city. We found out that we thought that it's necessary for us to understand what our culture is before the colonization, way back, before our history was even written. So, nung time yun, so 2013, Manila Collectible Company was established, and we started working with the indigenous communities. That was it was a tedious job of going, contacting, and living at certain times with these indigenous communities, earning their trust, asking them if we can carry their products and represent them in our store. So what we found out eventually after a couple of years in working with them, the main issues are, number one would be the cultural context. The products that we carry, their clothing, their weaves, their wood crafts, their instruments, these all have sacred meanings to them. Some are used during performing rituals, some actually represent a certain prayer or has a sacred meaning in Kanila. So it's more difficult to translate it and make it more relevant to modern times, to contemporary art. The second is, in terms of running a shop, so it's still a business, the difficulty also was that their concept of time. They would, when we place an order to these individuals, siguro months would be, getting the products in months would be good na. It takes a while to get the products. There are some who have been more oriented to how the market works, that would be able to turn out their products in time or would understand the requirements of the orders. But in general, there's the concept of time that's conflicting with their orientation. The third would be consistency. In terms of the products, like let's be specific with indigenous weaves, most of them use the backstrap loom. Using the backstrap loom makes it very relative to the product, the result, the output. It makes the output very relative to how the weaver works, however the weaver is comfortable in working with the loom. So, minsan with the 60 or with the 30, alangan niya may 32, may 59. So it will never become consistent. To be specific, we had an order sa sala ng interior designer to use the fabric as wall panels. To use them as wall panels and expect consistent patterns for these panels, that's impossible. So when we got the order, we tried, we got the order, syempre hindi na tama yung mag-iba-iba rin yung sukat, iba-iba na rin yung prints. So that's a challenge. Those are 3 main challenges. So in the 2 years that we were working, last year, what we were trying to, in order to get more people to appreciate the products that we carry of our indigenous communities, we thought maybe the general public just need to be more aware of the parameters of their culture, of their ways, of their traditions. So we started with workshops. Well, NCCE also got us to curate exhibits. Like last year, we curated an exhibit for woven identities, clothing traditions of ASEAN. So we have the costumes, the clothing traditions of the 10 member states. And then, so in contrast, makikita mo yung difference and the similarities of all these clothing traditions from the different regions. That was we have a separate piece that highlights the indigenous textiles naman of the Philippines. So it's a way for us to break the ice and start a conversation about our local needs. And then we also had a touring group from, we had some touring groups from Indonesia who came in. So what we did is we invited some of our Pangalay dancers and the ones and the Indonesian groups to perform in schools, so that the audiences would be able to appreciate what's ours and what's theirs, what our neighboring countries have. So we had that. Of course, it's not enough. We did also last year, we invited an indigenous weaver to conduct a workshop so that interested individuals can experience how tedious it is, how difficult the process of weaving is. So that was 6 Saturdays of them trying the backstrap. So yung output nila is 1.5 meter of tinala. So that's a lot that we've done just to create an awareness, or at least to have that venue to explain to them how difficult it is to, or the context of having this weaves, these traditions. So when we were speaking with NCCA, we came up with this program, the Weave Nation project. The issue that we found out is that we also have assumptions about their culture, and we wanted to verify at least if our assumptions are correct, or if there are some that we need to adjust in terms of our perspective. So we developed the Weave Nation project. We had that's when last year, so we also approached PTRI to help us with the trainings. We brought in the indigenous communities representatives. Initially, we wanted the participants to be just the weavers and expose them in areas that they may have more challenges in, like more on the business skills, financial literacy, and then and then we determined that parang it's critical that the cultural managers are with the weavers, so that there would be a balance in terms of understanding the items that we expose them to. So let me play a video. This is an edit. We're still working on the documentary edit. So this is from the Weave Nation project. We thought that the issue is more from our part, more of understanding what would be immediately actionable for each of these communities. So we stayed in one house, so family style yung lodging, so that they can bond and then compare, so para cultural exchange. We had a day, we started the day with NCCA. We had a spread of all their products so they can compare. We explained the connotations of each product, each item that they have, whether accessories or textile. Yeah. So this is the first time, I think the biggest group that NCCA had of this many different communities. The issues that came out were similar but in varying degrees for each of the communities. Most would be access to market. Some already know how to make proposals and ask for funding, pero the follow-through is difficult. They don't know how to write reports properly. So, ayun. This is Magdaya. So in the house that they lived in for 2 weeks, they can set up their own room and work on their free time. So this is still the first day. So we incorporated kasi it's the end of the last leg of the Women Identities exhibit, the regional clothing. And we had them attend it for their appreciation. Ayan. So the program is more for the communities. Most of the program kasi that has been around are more for the public's awareness. But what we see was a challenge is that we forget kung ano yung perspective nila. Ayan. So this is the first day at TTRI. So we started with dalawa yung module natin dito, the dyeing and the weaving. So this is the blackboard. For the dyeing, what we did is we had them present their natural dyeing traditions, kung ano yung nasa community nila. Tapos, compare contrast sila among the other communities. And then, afterwards, si PTRI naman yung nag-present ng standards. So the program is for them to open their minds to options, to other opportunities, what other opportunities are available to them. Pero we are not expecting, since this is a pilot, we are not expecting them to immediately adopt. We want them to understand that there are options. And then the second phase of this is to approach them community per community and assess what are the actionable issues that we can address. So this is a day, the indigenous, this is in Clark. So we went to the Dayong Festival and had the tour din sa Clark. This is the dyeing process. So nag-sample talaga sila. It's not just explaining. They explain kung ano yung different sources nila for the dye and then they sample it. They show the sample. This is in the design center. The design center offered to give them a paper making workshop. Ano naman importance nito? This is for them to reduce waste. So yung mga excess na fibers naman they can use for their packaging. So they can make paper out of the excess fibers. Yung mga good na. Actually, in this part, they were also taught how to dye naman using synthetic dyes. So at least PTRI covered the natural dyes and then they covered naman the synthetic dyes. So what after this is just an edit of the first week, of the first, I think 8 days, first 8 days. We are still working on the full documentary of the pilot. But after this, they also had, of course, we continued with the weaving workshop with PTRI, and then we also had we had a financial literacy workshop at the Veracruz School of Business in UP Diliman. So dun naman, we tried to help them understand on how to make reports kasi it's important for them if they go back to their communities, how will they be able to sustain their businesses, the business structure of their community crafts. So, and so we, at least it's more of me preparing reports, how do they represent their work, how to report on the possible funding. Ayun. So after the workshop, it's a 2-week program. After that, we were able to determine yes, we were able to verify that the problems are that we assume are true, but they vary in different for the individual communities. So the next phase for us is the sourcing of to help them source materials. Kasi like what was explained earlier, thoroughly explained by the previous speakers, mahirap yung like yung threads that are available to them are the ones that are commercially available, yung mga imported from elsewhere. So ang laki ng cost to them. In comparison, like when we were doing the ASEAN exhibit, in comparison to fabric that we get from, let's say, Indonesia, yung nasa mall price nila is like 2,500 for a blanket na ikat blanket, cotton, na sobrang dali siyang gamitin. You immediately find use for it. Pero ano to, yung 2,500 lang. For us, if we produce that kind of blanket, it will cost a lot more yung for the weaver pa lang. So, I mean, if we can find a way to help them address the issues in terms of the supply chain pa lang, in terms of them knowing how to properly approach potential funders and not be swindled of their resources as well. That will bring, that will help them make their craft more sustainable and possibly work better than in terms of collaborating with upscaling their businesses. I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Meg, for that sharing. And at least we get an idea of the kind of products and potential markets that are available as far as the finished products for our own textile fibers are concerned. From here, we move on to the workshop itself. And I was listening to the introductions earlier, and I would like to suggest that each workshop group will be composed of representatives from various sectors. And I would just like to review again who represents the regions. Okay? Earlier, I heard that Region 1 is represented. Director Gadar, ilan kayo? 2 of you. Region 2 is also represented. Where is Region 2? 2 from Region 2. CAR is represented. There are 2, headed by Director Mariano. Nobody from Calabarzon, Vimaropa. That's good. And then we have Region 6. I think we have Region 6. 1, 2 also. Good. None from Region 7. Meron. Okay, good. Region, but hindi DOST. From private sector. You belong to the private sector group. Okay. None from, then we have Region 10, si Director Alangban. Are you accompanied by anybody? Wala. Okay. Nobody from, wait, skip ko na yung iba. How about 11? None. 12, wala rin. 9, Caraga. Okay, so from what I have heard, there are 6 regions represented. 1, 2, CAR, Mimaropa, 6, and 10. Wala sa Region 5, people from UST. Wala rin. Okay. So, and that will be the basis of the grouping. Okay, so we would like to request the other participants, muna, who are involved in the agricultural production side. Aside from the Philippine Fiber Industry Development Authority, are there any participants who are more on the agricultural production side? Ano? Sericulture Research. Ilan kayo? 4. Okay. And then we have, of course, Pilipida. From the private sector side, whether you are in trading, production, or whether you belong to an NGO that is in advocacy, pwede pong itaas ang kamay sa private sector. Kasama na yung gawagalingan. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. We will request you to distribute yourselves to the regions of your choice. And then we have the universities. We have representatives from UP. Andito ba kayo sa UP? UP, 3. 4. Distribute yourselves to the regions. We also have from PUP now. Wala na. PUP. Sino ba yung ibang taga-universities other than UP? Don Mariano Marcos? Hindi. Sila na rin yun sa sericulture. So yung UP, other private, walang private schools na representative. PUP meron. Ayun. Okay. Yung dalawa kayo. Yung taga-TUP, distribute na rin. Kasi UP lang at TUP na dito, 6 na kayo. So, please, huwag na kayong mag-double sa isang region. And then we have PTRI. Sino-sino sa PTRI ang magpa-participate? Okay, sige. So now, we just would like to request you to stand up at medyo maglilipatan po tayo ng table. So, can Region 1 occupy the table dito sa harap? Itong tatayo muna sila. Region 1, dito kayo. Kung sino man yung private sector, yung university who wants to join Region 1, dito po sa unang table. Okay. Dito, Arman. Region 2, you can occupy the table there near the aircon. Oo. Region 2. Region 2, yung tabi-tabi ng aircon na yun. 2. So, yung mga private, yung universities, PTRI, agri, production side, pagiging na kayo. Region 3, wala pala. CAR. Pag-stay ka na dyan, Director Mariano, CAR will be there at the itong director namin na naka-pink. Yun ang inyong titingnan. Yun ang CAR. Then we have Mimaropa. Diyan ka na rin. Okay. Mimaropa is there. So kung gusto sino mag-join sa Mimaropa, these are the provinces of Mindoro, Marinduque, Romblon, and Palawan. Nandito po si...
Bakit forward mo sa akin naman ni Rob?
And then Region 6. Region 6, o dyan na kayo sa Region 6. Ayun po ang Region 6, Paduluduhan, yung mga taga-Paday. And finally, Region 10, okay na sa inyo. Director Alamban, ano? Director Alamban is there at Table 7, Region 10. So, ito po ang Region 1. Siguro huwag nang lumagpas ng
6-7.
Ang 8, isang grupo. Kung meron na kayo 6, ito, okay na yun. So, okay na. Ito na, Region 1, 7 na po ang Region 1. Region 2, ilan na kayo? May taga-PTRI na dyan. Wala pa. Please, Region PTRI, join Okay ba yan? Walo, pwede pa. Region car. Car. Dadalawa pa yung car. Pwede ba isang taga-UP mag-join ng car? Okay. At saka PTRI. At saka yung bang Mulberry, car ba yan? O yung car. Oh, meron na. Oo. So, doon ka. Okay. And then we have Region 6. Ako, puno na yung Region 6. Popular. Asa ba yun? Ayun pala. Region 6. Wala pang taga-PTRI dyan. PTRI. Region 6 is where you have the Ablon and the Binyan. Okay. Region 6, okay na. Region 7. Ay, hindi pa ta. 10. Puno. Si Director Alamban. This is Region 10. Sino pa walang sinasalihan grupo? So we have 6. Maghanap na kayo table na maluwag. Yung wala pang grupo, kung hindi naman, kung sa Region Mimaropa, nadagdagan pa sana ng isa. May PTRI na ba dyan? Wala pa PTRI. Region, eto Mimaropa. Please deploy PTRI representatives in Mimaropa side. Okay, Sinbay. And table 4. Okay. All of you have copies of this material where the questions are being posed to the group. Okay, is this idea of from farm to passion or whatever from farm and soil to dress and joy feasible in the region where you are seated right now? Bakit na table? Break lang. And then please focus on the materials which you think are possible. Kung meron kayong suggestion regarding the say improvement in the production of the material, just indicate it. Yung may nabigay na sa akin ng bill by the statistics kung saan naka-distribute. And then also indicate kung ano yung possibility na merong university na ma-involve dito sa activity na to. As we know, very limited po ang size ng research group sa Philippine Textile Research Institute, and we would like to encourage research to be done in universities. Okay? Sige, wala nang problema yung Mimaropa. Okay? For your information, the guy who represents Mimaropa there is an industrial designer. So, okay, and then lastly, kung meron kayong information na mag-share regarding models that you have known, regarding this from farm and soil to dress and joy, and then essentially whatever you want to share with us that will help us in determining whether we can proceed or not in that particular region. Unfortunately, other regions are not represented like 9, 10, and Taraga na malapit din mo potential din sila. Now, please proceed now to elect your group chair. Okay? Ito ay para lang magkaroon ng order sa discussion. Group chair, rapporteur, ano pa, Celia? Timekeeper. Yung rapporteur, yun na rin ang recorder. Okay? So, yung chair, pwedeng siya rin na mag-report, pero dapat tulungan ng rapporteur. Please, yung mga taga-DOST region, i-facilitate nyo na yung election kung sino sa inyong grupo. Ang chair, rapporteur, at saka timekeeper. Okay? We will expect you to finish your discussions by 4:15. By 4:15. Okay? Up to 4:15.
Wala kasi kain ng butak. Dali mo na sa office. Kasi pag ginulugan na kasi yun, depende sa kung ano yung lugan, ito yung ibigay mo siya. Kung mabibig talaga yun. Kaya, meron akong mga alam doon na start. Kaya sa likod ko lang ilalagay. Tapos, yung stand mo talaga stand niya. Ipit mo na yung paano ba tembal niya? Paano ba
Nagilid.
nagilid?
Kasi nakaganon yung mukha niya.
Dali mo tinilagay.
Kasi kumikita ko na hindi kaya.
Masya mataas. Kasi alam ko ginagamit. Original. Ano ko sa next class. Di ba? Alam ko siya. May matalas na
So muna kayo. Ayos ako dati po. Wala akong game pass. Wala akong COVID. Balik ako dito.
Kailangan ba tayo mag-ipas mo yan?
Oo. Pati nga ito, paleka naman ako kahit sa kahit sila. Balik ako. Ha?
Sige, papagawa ko ng game pass kayo.
Yung sa'yo, dito na rin ako engage training. Ay, hindi. Ito ba yung sa'yo? Sa atin na lang.
AB lang po, AB.
Pero xerox mo na lang ito kung saan kailangan. Nakalagay naman dito yung good choice.
Meron naman. Kasi dito ako.
Pero may pa siya.
Mapagawa ako kay Lloyd.
Nakuha naman ako ng bago ba yan? Murahin kasi kaya dito lang mo. Kahit mo na pwede pero depende sa pagkakataon kasi. Ako dati, parang si hindi naman sa mga titira sa sinagkasya ito dito sinakawal ko na lang. Nalubog na ako sa utang na utang ko. Pinakuha ko every 21 days na yun. Bako bad kayo doon. Ito naman di po lang. Dati, pag isaw kayo doon, pera ko agad. Hindi ko mabayaan. Okay, dito na din sa may interest. Tumatalawa ka naman. Para lang, hindi lang daw nakabayan. Bayad ka ng 300, interest daw. Kasi yun. Kasi nga nangyari, hinapon niya yung kapay na buwan. Hinapon niya. Halina, may tali na sa akin. Sige, ano, itigil ko na yung ano mo. Ang gulo mo kasi nga, tagal na, di ba? Kaya ako mo lang kung magkano natitira.
Ano yung principal?
Oo. Sige, bubayad ako. Total. Parang binayaran ko lang yung tubo ng agad. Alam sa buong 5% din ako sa akin. Kung nabay kita sa Nabayaran ko lang palang 300, interest na pala yun. Ano 200 na pala yung bawasan. Kaya talaga, bigyan mo kang malaki. Kaya kasi napapagpagawa ko, bigyan ko sa libo, ito ko sa libo. 5,000. Kaya na na. Dalawang libo ng higit. Kasi interest. So, wala sa nabinibigay ko, may interest pala doon. So, hindi ko siya ng 1,000, di ba? Hindi ko na ako nabinayad. 2,000 plus pa rin yung mas kino-open ko na just mga 6,000 yun. Oo, so kung ito provide nyo yun, may 5% yung papapang pa rin sa total. 10,000. Diba? 10,000. Ako nabayaran mo 10,000 plus yung 5% interest. Hindi na nakabayad siya. Wala ka ng 10,000 mo. Papapang mo sa next month mo, 10,000 plus yung 5% na yun, hindi na mabayaran mo, plus yung 5% ulit. Gets mo? Ang very over siya eh. Oo, gano'n. So, doon ako naman kasi na-delay sa akin dito. Pupahit ako. Diba? Ipapayapagin natin. 500 doon, 200 lang pala yung nababawa sa utak ko. Kasi 300 sa interest. Kaya doon ako ng utak eh. Talaga ako. Gusto pay 20,000. Sinasawin ko 2,500. Maniluto. Kano binibigay sa'yo? $110 na siya. Parang di naman hulata nag-isapol ka. So, ilang mas pa yung 100,000? Oo, ako maglulong ako gano'n, panguhulog ko ng bahay siguro. Oo, kasi 100,000 yun, makakuha ka na lang ng minuto. Basta, ay, pambayad ko ng road, may magpag-ibig ka pa 200. Ano? Ang 20,000, kaya ko 5 ko may negosyo na ako. Wala lang po. So, happy ko lang ito na negosyo ko eh. Sa iyo na kinuha lahat. Hindi maganda. Although, ako, sa akin, gusto ko hindi kami. Okay, yung sa tao ang ginagawa niya, kung ba, kasi pati pwede siya pa-delay. Yun na. Pero sa kanya nga, ano yun, isa ko dati, ginamit ko rin para isa na yung ginabayan ko. Ang nangyari lang kasi, may ginabayan ako sa kasi kung nangyayari ko ng pera, may nangyayari lang ako sa akala ng alam ko. Ano, pinapos pa rin ako, pati na yun, meron ako. Kasi hindi nila pinariority, kasi hindi na ito. So, siya yung pinariority. Kung mabilis ko, hindi ko si pinaya ko ng buhay. Okay, pag-sahod eh. Kaya, nadali ako at kanina, nag-frustrated. Frustrated.
Ako, good thing naman kasi isa lang
Tagal pa. Alam mo ba ito? Ilang sa tayo mouse. Nag-bubayad ko sa'yo ngayon. So, magpagkakatalong ko ba kung magkano yung kulang sa'yo? Kasi 6,000 mula sa inyo, kasi ito na yung budget mo. Ngayon, gusto pinaghirapan ko na tigiso na isang tao, pag nakuha ko siya, bigyan niya sa'yo. Proposal yun, uutang ka lang. 100,000 yun. Sana sinabi ko lang, nag-money changer na lang tayo. Alam mo ba ito na natin sa money changer? 100,000 yun. Kasi kung money changer lang lang dito. 100,000 ilan ang Philippine lang yung ibang bansa at magpadala sa Pilipinas? Oo, pero 100,000. Oo. 100,000 sa isang araw. Pag marami yung palit sa'yo, gusto yun. Kasi hindi ko 100,000, papalit mo. Kung binili mo yung dollar niya na ang palitan ng dollar at yung dollar niya ng 57. Pero talaga, meron pag-proceed ka. Pag tumakas yung dollar, pinabuha ng 48. So yung 100 pesos mo, ay pinagpinalit mo ngayon, plus mo ng 50 piso, ilan ang tinulong sa 100,000? Oo. Kaya ang money change, mas marami kang puhunan, mas marami ang pera, mas malaki ang tinulong mo per day.
pero Kasi secure mo ba na ganun karami?
Hindi mo kailangan customer na isi-secure mo eh. Ang target mo ba, kailangan mo magpalit sa'yo. Kumikita ka kung saan may nagpalit sa'yo. Simple lang. Pumunta ka sa lugar kasi maraming ano. Pupwesto mo siya sa sa amin, Ate Polo. Ano yung sa ang pwesto naman napakaliit lang. Kung dalawang isa, alam mo, manager na isa, bibigyan na naging ano. Nagawak pa nga ako ng kayo pa ako ng isang brush, ako humawak. Kaya alam ko yun, si ano natin so yun ka lang naman ako, nung kumikita, ako dito, nag-dito na ako sa dati pinatawag ko. Pero wala kasi hindi yan naka-regular. Kung 5 years na ako, diba? Kung 5 years na ako, naka-regular ako. Ang benefits. Limitation talaga. Nahirapan na ako mag-apply. Pag-20 dyan sa Kung nag-degree ni Raj, tapos maganda, siya mag-regular, nagtagal siya ni Raj. Hindi ganyan mo. Tapos yung bibigyan mo ni Raj. I mean, oo, para yung panas natin. Diyan. Hanggang mo nagsabi, CG, framing sa ito yun. Wala kayo yung ganyan. Wala sa amin na naman ako. 3 years ang experience ko. Kaya pa kasi professional lang. Pro ako sa sa mo. Kasi service ko wala daw yung masters niya, wala daw yung hindi ginawa yan. So wala rin pala contact. Parang rin sa akin. Sana sila na Ano na rin?
Pwede ba ito sa para kaya? Magkano pa iba? Magkano pa ba siya?
Opo.
Live stream? Parang live stream na natin. No? Okay naman natin ngayon para
Sige po.
Try noodles. Hindi ako ng fryer. Hindi na tayo ulit.
Sige, sir. Hindi tayo bibigyan dito.
Go sa flow yan, sir.
Yes po.
We know you are still very much engaged in the discussions. Just like to remind you that you now have to start preparing for the show. The order will be starting from region 1. We give you 5 minutes to prepare for the reporting. You were given pieces of legal paper. Kahit siguro outline lang yung report mo. Ilagay na dun sa legal paper. Okay, since we have to be out of the content by 4:59, we should start the reporting now. So, if Region 1 is ready, okay, we would like to call on Director Arman Ganal to do the reporting. So, pwedeng Manila paper, pwedeng gamitin nyo yung computer or
Good afternoon. I would like to introduce the members of the group comprising those coming from Region 1. I'm Arnold Bernal from DOST Region 1. With me are Jonathan Viernes, the Provincial Director of PFC in Ilocos Norte. We have Dr. Ed Runyen, the Regional Director of Pilfida for Region 1. We have Dr. Tita Damus, of the Director of the Cellular Research Development Institute based at Don Mariano Marcos University. With her are some of her staff, Lilia, TELA, Jerry, Nakayanan, and Flor, now. And we have here our facilitator from Nuclear IQ, and soon to be a partner of the region, Mocha from the University of the Philippines. The reporter or the rapporteur for the group is Dr. Ed Runyen, and he will be giving in 5 minutes.
Sa unfair naman sa inyo kayo sa trabaho.
Hello.
Reinforcement namin sa first of all, first to say that because
Hello, okay na? Okay. There are 5 agencies representing Region 1. We have, of course, PRI, USD, SRDI, EUSU, Pilfida, and UP Liman. We just share our stories. Nag-istorya ako, nag-istorya rin sila, pinakita namin ang aming istorya. And we come up with the conclusion that this is a very, very concept. Sinundan namin itong mga questions, for instance, the concept dito, and then we adapted a very specific case sa Region 1. Do you think this may be applicable in a particular this is a resounding yes. And we took notice of a particular case. And looking at the map that was presented a while ago by Director Ilma, it's in Binili, Ilocos Norte. By going through our stories, we can now answer the different questions. In fact, we had already told you a while ago that this is an excellent concept. Because, say, the women communities, and we take Binili, Ilocos Norte. Before this conference, and before maybe the concept of this, the group of Irene Araneta and Dr. Bolan already went to Philippines early this year, and they already told us of a concept of a sustainable community. A community that will produce their own materials, process their own products, and make finished products that will be applicable to the region. So, the weaving communities has a high, the weaving communities in Ilocos Norte, in Paway, in Launang, and now particularly sa Pinili, has a very potential to implement this concept of farm and soil to dress and joy. The collaboration na ginawa namin dito sa PhilFIDA provided some production books and technical assistance, and Dr. Conang provided financial assistance, and then promised some resource generation, whatever sources you may find, along with Irene Araneta. And this community already has 7 to 9 loom weavers already. And they are already doing finished products made of cotton only. The community now can be empowered in order to produce their own materials. We already provided our own materials to Pinili, and the farmers already planted cotton. Now, the group discussed a while ago at length how we can go about these raw materials from production to processing. Kasi may isang link ito from production to weaving. It has the ginning, or the separation of the fiber and the seed. So dito may papasok ang ano ba yan yung MIREC, nakatulad ng FIC. Yeah, I'm confused with the names. Ito ngayon papasok. Then we can empower the community by providing these small equipment, small processing equipment, small giving equipment in order for them to add value to their product, to give their own product, and to deliver their own fibers, say dito sa Peter I or to a textiles. And then si Dr. Conang sabi niya, he will buy the link, and then ilalagay dito sa Peter I or to a textiles, and then that will be converted from fiber to yarn. And that yarn will now be brought back to the loom weavers, and the loom weavers will now use this and make their own designs, or they make whatever fabric they can do. And dito naman sa Peter I, they can also provide raw materials for silk. So there is now a blend of cotton and silk. Now, sa Ilocos Norte, Ilocos Sur, and this is a tourist destination where these natural fabrics are very in demand, very saleable. So, itong Pinili Loommakers Association came up make their products available to these tourist destinations. So, ito ngayon, we have been giving a while ago we can also tie up itong project nito with the local governments and the Department of Agriculture to the provision of more funds sa production aspect. Say sa source of irrigation and other equipment of production. And then dito sa USD, village model equipments for chilling and processing. And then ito ngayon ay this will now be becoming a community sustainable universe. So pag ano ang nangyari natin, masasabi natin na yung concept na farm and soil to dress cultivate ay mangyayari dito sa there is also a question dito kung sino ang mas who can best operate the yarn innovation center kung sakali na posible dito sa region. And we discussed it while ago that the Don Mariano Marcos State University, where SRBI is located, can best operate the yarn innovation center. In fact, they already have a proposal submitted to Senator Villar. And yes, Don Mariano Marcos in the Union. They already had sericulture research and development institute, and they have also the field facility for shade. And now they have submitted the proposal already issued to the and the proposal is in the process of evaluation. Now, kung mangyayari yun, it can also add value to dito sa region mo. Kasi yung mga fibers na na-develop doon, kasi dito sa Philippines, can be brought to the innovation center. And then pag meron na yan, they can be brought back to these communities in further weaving activities. So ganun po ang mangyayari dito. And I think ang concept nito can only become possible with a very strong collaboration of the agencies na nandun. And of course, with the leadership of USD and PDP. So yan na po.
Ni Dr. Brilliant, excellent yung concept. Yung report ninyo excellent. The next one to report is Region 2. This will be done by Professor Reynard from the Utica Public Colleges.
Magandang hapon po sa inyo lahat. Tagalog na po. Sorry for my okay. Para po sa aming grupo na ang aming USD representative ay galing sa Region 2. We have people from GK, ambassadors here, and we have people from Don, and I am from UPD naman. Isa-isayin ko na lang po yung mga tagtugon namin sa mga katanungan na binigay ng PTRI. Para po sa unang katanungan, naniniwala ba kayo sa konsepto nito? So, bilang kabuuan ng grupo, naniniwala kami na magiging effective itong programang ito, itong idea nito. Provided na mayroong magandang support mula sa gobyerno at also yung social entrepreneurship. Also, kanina pinag-usapan namin sa huling bahagi ng aming talakayan kung saan kung mayroong supply and chain value, dapat meron din, there's a market push and demand din na hindi ibig sabihin na patuloy tayo nagpo-produce pero wala namang demand na nagagaling mula sa merkado. So kung yun yung i-promise na kanina ng DTI, sana yun din yung at least yung pwedeng panghawakan ng bawat community. Hindi ibig sabihin na patuloy kang gumagawa, may patuloy pa rin ang demand mula doon sa merkado. Para po sa pangalawang katugunan, how do you see the weaving communities? Na-identify ng Region 2 na sa bahagi ng Nueva Vizcaya ay mayroong community din ng weave. But itong community na to ay nakakaloob na sa kanilang proyekto, pero ito pa yung mga core communities na nagbibig. Pangalawa rin po, yung grupo po ng doon, sila po ay meron ng kakayahang mag-big, ngunit sa kasalukuyan, ang ganito na ginagamit na raw material ay polyester. So, medyo, kanina din po ay napag-usapan namin kung posible bang mag-cross, lumipat ang raw material papunta sa ibang region para sila ang mag-big kung wala silang raw material. Napag-usapan na po namin na oo, posible yun kung merong magdadala ng raw material sa lugar kung saan merong skill. At also, doon po sa grupo ng GK sa Angat Bulacan, sila po ay meron ng isang taon ng community kung saan nabibig na ang mga tao sa GK. Ang GK Angat Bulacan ay meron ng taon na na-establish. Pero yung Weaving School or University, the University of Weaving Angat, is already functioning for almost 1 year. Currently, they're using airy silk. Airy silk, not eating mulberry, but they're eating bananas. Cassava. Airy silk, E-R-I silk. Sabi po ng DOST, ito po yung mas mababang uri na silk ko sa mulberry. Tapos, and they're eating cassava. Meron po silang mga example po, halimbawa na unang labas ng kanilang beef. Pero ito po ay paunang pilot pa lang yung nangyayari. Okay. So we have a Vizcaya region, the Don people, and the GK representative. Para po sa pangatlong katanungan, ito po, meron po ba kayo na-identify ng mga raw materials na available sa region? Sabi po ng DOST sa kanila, maaari ito kung tignan ang pinya, cotton at banana sa region 2. Also, sa lugar po ng GK, meron po silang taniman ng banana, cotton, kung saan yun yung pinagaan. Of course, yung kasama ko saan pwede nilang gamitin sa kanilang pwede pang i-develop. Para po sa pang-apat na katanungan, it should be possible. Ang sagot po namin ay oo, ngunit ang taong dapat na mamamahala ng Yarn Innovation Center, the person who's gonna be positioned in the Yarn Innovation Center should be someone who is knowledgeable in textile, definitely not a middleman, and should be coming from the community and no vested interest about whatsoever. Bago ang mahirap magkatap ng ganyan sa Sulutuyan. Isa rin po idea na lumabas kanina ay sa kaluso, actually binato ko po ito sa grupo kanina, na karamihan po sa ating mga traditional weavers ay gumagawa ng mga traditional na kanilang mga habit o yung mga dream weaver. Ang kalungkutan lamang dito ay hindi natin pwede agad-agad na putulin o gawing kasuotan ang kanilang mga kita. Dahil ito yung likhang sinig. Maaaring dalawa ang pwede natin panggalingan, isang pang-tradisyonal at isang pang-komersyal. Pero ang tanong pa rin doon, nahahayaan ba ng mga traditional weaver na liwanag ang kanilang traditional weaving sa kanila para doon sa pagkakakitaan nila. So meron tayong dilemma doon. Siguro po yung sinasabi kanina na ginagamit tapestry or ginagawa decor, ito ay mayroong nakasamang mga tradisyon. Siguro makakastudent dyan yung taga-Manila Collectibles na kaya siya nagiging collector's item kasi may storya, may buhay, may noong tradisyon na nakapaloob. At yung karamihan may mga espiritu at kaluluwa na nakapaloob sa kanilang mga weaving. So baka po, kailangan i-consider natin yun na hindi lahat ng weaving tayo pwede natin kapase na pumili. Para po sa panglimang katanungan, tungkol po sa community, kung ano po ba meron po ba kami nakasa o napuntahan, ang na-explain lang po kanina ng GK ay ang paggamit ng airy silk na nakita po nila sa Thailand, kung saan yun ang ginagamit nila. Maganda rin po kapag usapan din namin kanina, ulit po ako po ng Malaysia. Marami po akong nakita ang mga rubber tree Pero na-research ko na ang Malaysia ay mayroong Malaysia para siyang center, para sa atin parang Philippine Coconut Authority, sa kanila mayroong Rubber Tree Authority. So sinabi mo sa akin ng PDRI na mayroong geotextile na develop. Develop na yung geotextile na gumagamit ng coconut na ginagamit sa slopes. So something like that. And lastly po, assessment. Yun po, ang gusto po sana namin makita is kung merong supply and chain value, sana po patuloy pa rin ang market push kung saan hindi lamang gawa ng gawa ang mga tao, kundi meron ding avenue para ibenta. Pero sana masustain siya kasi parang hindi masyadong lumabas kanina sa usapan o sa usapin natin yung konsepto ng sustainability. So baka po dapat natin tingnan yung konsepto ng sustainability. Marami pong salamat.
Magandang report, at hindi lang Region 2 ang kasama, pati ang Region namin ni Director Mariano, Region 3 from Okay, Director Mariano pa rin ang sa card. Ang susunod po sa atin ay ang card, kasi nabasa po siya. Ilagay na natin dito, tama-tama pagbalik niya. Kay Dr. Mariano,
Hindi lang sa representative.
okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, good afternoon, everyone. So, I'm Imelda Canabel. I'll be reporting partially for CAR for the first part, and after me will be Dr. Mariano. And the guy wearing pink, he's man enough to wear pink. There we go. So let me introduce my group members. So I introduced earlier our facilitator, who is Sir Dr. Mariano. Then we have Emmy from Philadelphia. Then we have Sunny, who's a weaver from Italy. Then OJ, who's a designer. Meg of Culture Aid. We have Donna from PTRI. Cesar Arnold, who's an expert in sericulture, and Jeannie. Okay. So when we were discussing the, our assignment and everything like that. So before we could say, what do you think of this concept? We actually first discussed, is this feasible? So what we did is, I'm just letting you understand our process. Kasi we didn't really automatically say, this is a good idea, this is a bad idea. Okay. So what we did is, our process is, okay, Miss Abby, what are the products there? So the fibers that are there for abaca and silk, right? So then we go to Sunny, goes, so Sunny, what do you weave? We weave cotton. So right away, you can see that the needs of the weavers are cotton, but what's available is abaca and silk. So now, okay, let's go to ourselves. How do we make it work? Now we ask Sunny, are you willing to weave abaca for your cloth? And he said, no, he's not willing to do that because the quality of cloth that you produce with woven abaca is not something that their market provide. Okay? So with that question, the question now is, then we ask, is there a market for the abaca or silk fabric? And those are the issues now that we are asking ourselves. So for us to be able to say that we are going to use the raw materials and encourage our weavers to shift from their current cotton na meron ng market and have them weave abaca or silk, we have to ask this question, is there a market for abaca or silk? Okay, so those are the things that we are thinking. And then the next question is, assuming that there is, will the weavers automatically
be willing to be using the materials? So with that question, now we're saying, so as the innovation center, we are thinking these are the possible things that we can do with an innovation center given this scenario. So we are looking at matching of materials that the weavers need. Maybe initially, because of course here we have short-term goals or short-term planning happening, which is for the innovation center to help them source the materials that they already have. Because he's saying right now, they're getting the China 250 per kilo. Right, honey? So now,
Okay, and then we are also suggesting that maybe because they're getting no cotton,
it could be the innovation center could be a place where you can use blended fibers initially, like using cotton or abaca, cotton or silk, that maybe that they can try. So having them, ask them to do the blended fibers, of course there's the corresponding training for the, what do you call this, for the weavers to use these fabrics, for these threads. You have to understand different threads would require retooling or training of the weavers. Because if you buy yung tension, you feel the fabric and the thread when you put it in the yarn. See, I learned this also from PTRI. Okay, so then, of course, I already mentioned the recruiting of or training to the use of the innovative fibers. And then, once you have this fabric, innovative, using innovative fibers, we are suggesting that there should be market tests. That if you develop all of these new products before you let the community do it by themselves, there should be the market test. So that if the community who is supposed to handle, the way we look at it, handle the innovation center, would know that there's a market for the things that they produce. Okay? So yeah. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay, sir? So to add more to our discussion, I give the floor now to Dr. Marianne. Let's give her an
Talaga kung masasala na si City Electric na napakaikli ng panahon. So number 4, the best organization na mag-ooperate itong Young Innovation Center itong pina natin ang State University of Philippines. Kasi yung Young Innovation Center na ito would complement the research activities. So double purpose sa kanila yun. Para tulong na sila sa PTRI at sa development ng fiber industry. Plus, makakagawa pa sila ng maraming research activities. Kasama lang dito yung sa extension activities nila. Now, for number 5, unfortunately, wala kaming first-hand knowledge tungkol dito sa mga bansa na ito. Pero mabibigyan kami ng study mission to, we will be more than willing to accept. And then sa number 6, yung sa abang fiber, medyo may kalabuan. Pero sa silk, malaki ang aming pag-asa na ito magkakaroon ng katuparan dito sa Cordillera Administrative Region. In fact, bukas nga, meron kami isang talagang proponent na talagang passionate dito sa self-production. In fact, nagkaroon na sila experience at kumalaman niya na si Director Ilumba talagang excited. Mas excited yung darating na bisita namin bukas. Kaya talagang itong sa Young Innovation Center ito, at least for Silka, it's a go po sa amin. Yun lang ako.
Thank you, Director Mariano. Now, napakaganda ng proseso pinagdaanan nila, no? Yung questions and issues na sinunod. So from Tar, we move on to Mimaropa, and the chair will report Sidoro. Okay. Pagka nakikita ko sila, alam ko kasi mag-eskwela sila.
Good afternoon. I'm Sid from Imaopa. Yun yung grupo namin. So, madali na lang ito, tingin ko, overtime na tayo eh. Basically, okay sa amin ang idea na may innovation center. Pero ito kasi, may catch na. Ang Imaopa kasi, yung handloom weaving center nasa Hongkong. Kung malalaman niyo yung geographic ng makeup ng Imaopa, napakahirap kahihin niya. Ang hirap kung kaya sa Imaopa. Kaya, kung kunyari nalagay namin sa Hongkong din ang Yarn Innovation Center, yung ibang region, ay yung ibang probinsya sa amin, ang may hirapan silang mag-gamit din. Kasi nga, kunyari, from Oriental Mindoro, katabi lang niya ang Hongkong, pero walang direksyon papunta doon. Babalik pa ng Batangas. Tapos, mga 8 to 10 hours, I would go doon. The thing is, tapos ito pa, isa pong problem sa amin mga baba. There's no question, maraming fiber doon, maraming source, maraming weaving communities. Ang ginagawa lang nila madalas is handicrafts. Ang mga fiber na ginagamit nila madalas buhay. Mostly mga bags. So there's a baka in my way. Meron nga kaming assistant dyan na gumagawa ng mga sapatos. Pero, meron din, nakita ko din dito, meron sa Oriental Mindoro. We also have, meron isang promising yung anak ko. Okay, according to our provincial director, nagkaroon na ng initial study of PTRI about anak ko. Ang nangyari is, parang gumawa sila ng 60% cotton, 40% anak ko na textile. Although initial study pa lang. So, if we're gonna make a yarn innovation center, and we can focus yung sana ako for the textiles, siguro more R&D muna bago tayo mag-innovation center. Mag-R&D muna sa mga fiber na nasa Mimaropa. Basically, yun yung gist ng report natin. We're okay with it, pero konting ako sa fibers namin before we put an innovation center. Kaya maganda din na nasa SUC yun. Yun din.
We get a very frank and candid assessment from Mimaropa na at this stage mas magandang uusan pa ng R&D, no? Kasi dahil sa mga binanggit ng kadahilanan. Alam ninyo, mahirap kasi, napakahirap i-manage ng Mimaropa dahil bawat isang probinsya ay isang island, no? Nasa pupong yaan dahil nung namimili kami kung saan itatayo ang Philippine Science High School sa Mimaropa campus, ang hirap mamili. Hindi mo malaman kung alin ang sentro. Okay, at least meron pa rin siya na-identify na State University na pwedeng i-develop along this line. Thank you very much sa Mimaropa Group. Talampakan natin sila. So from here, we move to Region 6 and I was told that the report will be given by Ben Kama.
Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. Promote ko lang po ang mga natural fibers at natural fiber po. Katulad ng suot ko ngayon. Ito ay pinya and cotton, naturally dyed with indigo. Pwede siya isuot. Hindi siya makati. Fashionable din siya. So una, yung idea ay kung okay ba daw sa amin. Nabanggit ko sa mga kasamahan ko. Ay, tapos na lang po mga kasamahan ko. Sorry. Si Abraham sa Antique, sa UST Antique. Si Venus. Si India, galing ng Heritage, Pinamanda, sa Calibo. Si Annalyn, sa TUP Manila. Si Jairus, sa UST Aklan. inyong lingkod, si Ben from NTF-PEP Philippines. Of course, si Bang at saka si Ate Lolit sa DOST. So yung pong idea ng yung konsepto na produce mo at gagamitin mo rin sa sarili mong rehiyon, hindi na po bago sa amin, lalo na sa aming grupo, kasi yung mga katutubo na kung saan kami gumagalaw, di ba lahat naman sila, yung suot nila, sila rin naman yung mag-habi, sila nag-produce. Actually, okay naman talaga siya. Pwedeng gawin. At lahat kami doon ay pwede. Kaya lang, pwede yan sa mga katutubo kasi naman ang ginagawa, nangyayari naman talaga yan. Pero yung kung gagawin natin sa mga maraming diskusyon nangyari doon sa aming grupo, sinasabi na, ay, usaping presyo, usaping yung equitable distribution ng income doon sa yung mga negosyante, mga trader na nakikinabang, etc. So, kung ang napag-usapan namin, pwede yan, basta aayusin yung mga presyo at makikinabang ang lahat mula sa mga producers hanggang sa consumers. So, at ang sinasabi namin, yung video natin, ay, pwede bang isuot ng pwede bang gamitin? Ang bibili lang naman, so hindi isa-isa namin yung mga produkto namin na nandiyan sa Region 6 and 7. Kadalasan yan yung suot ni Sir, mga barong, mga na medyo sasabihin nila, makate, ganyan, ay pang high-end lang, isusot ko lang ng barong ko kapag may okasyon, either kasal yan, o kung ililibig ka na, yung ganun ba? So medyo, hindi siya isusuot na pang araw-araw. Kaya sabi namin, pwedeng gawin yan, basta gagawa tayo ng iba't-ibang produkto na pwede sa iba't-ibang merkado. So pwede namang gamitin ang mga fibers ng Region 6 and 7 sa lahat. So kung gagawin mo yan, at nagagawa ka ng produkto for every target market, ayusin yung presyo, at i-regulate mo yung pagpasok, yung iba't ibang aspeto, halimbawa yung pagpasok ng China market, ng China product, at ng ukay-ukay, pwedeng mangyari yan. At tingin ko, makakatulong ng malaki sa industriya. Weaving communities, minamapa po namin ngayon, maraming weaving communities sa Region 6 and 7. So mula sa Iloilo, Antique, Calibo, hanggang Negros, sa Cebu, sa Bohol, lahat yan, kahit saan ka magpunta, maraming weaving communities na available. May skills. May skills at may mga kagamitan. Simula kaya na yung ginagamit. Punta tayo sa raw materials na sobrang dami. Ano ba ang raw materials o fibers na available sa Region 6 and 7? Of course, ang pinya. Ang pinya, ang abaka, kaya nang na-report ni Sir kanina. So, may pinya, may abaka, hindi lang yan. May silk din, may raffia, may salago, may puri, may banana, may wool, at may bamboo. So, lahat ng materyales na to ay makikita mo at available siya sa Region 6 and 7. So, kaya kinakailangan tingin ko ng isang institusyon na gagamitin ito. Ang sabi nga namin, napag-usapan namin doon, parating symbol, abaka lang ginagamit. So ngayon, lalo na kami sa NTFP, biniblend namin, pero hindi yung mismo yung fiber ang biniblend mo. Yung mga fiber, pinagahalo-halo namin sa weaving na. Pero hindi yung sinasabi natin na yung yarn pa lang, i-mix mo na. Okay yan, mas maganda yan. Kasi kami, nahihirapan kami, hindi parang kung iti-treat yung magkasamang pinya at at cotton. So, nahihirapan kami kapag magdaday na, kaya ito, dinala ko pa dito, dahil niyo muna ito para nang magawa namin. Kasi mag-represent kami, mag-fashion show ko kami ng indigo collection. Promote ko lang sa Asia Pacific Forestry Week sa RAC. Ayun. So, sabi nga namin, maliban sa fiber, marami din natural dyes. At ngayon, may available na ang indigo sa Region 6. Nagtatanim na kami at gumagawa na ng indigo powder. Tapos, doon sa equipment, walang problema. Weaving centers, walang problema. Ngayon, ang industriya sa Region 6 and 7, pinaayos, nakikipag-partner. Actually, may mga nangyayaring partnership with NGOs and mga academic institutions and mga life agencies sa pag-aayos ng may partnership kami with FIDA, may partnership with ASU, sa pag-develop para makatulong yung buong, ma-assist yung buong chain ng weaving industry. Okay, tapos, number 4, saan ba? Meron bang pwedeng mag-take o pwedeng ilagay yung Garden Innovation Center? Meron sa Antique, na sinasabi ni Sir na pwede, yung sa kanila doon. Yung Antique People's Organization at pwede makipag-partnership. Nakikita namin, hindi lang dapat academic institution, kundi meron din isang organization that is willing, yung entrepreneurial side of hindi siya magiging sustainable kung hindi siya gagawin negosyo. Pero hindi yan magiging successful kung wala yung support ng institusyon na magpapatigalo na yung scientific component. So meron din sa Madalag, kasi ngayon meron kami mga baka processing at saka pinya processing center na pwedeng simulan na yung ganitong klaseng initiative. So tingin namin din na wala lang yung aming kasama sa bandang Bohol, Cebu area, pwede rin meron. So, Aklan, Antique, and Bohol area. Tapos number 6. Based on your assessment, you see the next steps which will be taken by the president. Opo, nakikita namin na ako nakikita need ito right now kasi kami may ginagawa kami ngayon ng mga initiatives sa pag-develop ng fibers sa mga communities. At nakikita namin yung kakulangan, sabi nga namin, ang pinaka-importanting wala sana kasi yung cotton. Meron kami lahat ng ibang mga fibers, pero wala yung cotton. Kailangan pa namin bilhin. Kasi hindi po siya magiging nasusunod ng maayos talaga. Kung walang blend ng cotton. Or kung ano man yung pwedeng ipampalit sa cotton. Kasi mahirap siyang suot. So, kaya nakikita namin yung pangangailangan, yung need for this kind of initiative para talaga simulan. Kasi lagi pag natanong ka sa mga weaving communities, ay wala kaming available na raw material. Totoo naman. So, kung nakikita natin na magsisimula ito, matutuwa kami lahat. At yung simulan namin weaving Abakay Processing Center sa ito na yung pwedeng magpapatuloy. So, hindi lang pwedeng single na baka natin develop more niya lang. Pwede ka na mag-develop ng mga blends na pwedeng pagkakitaan ng mga community. Kasi mas nakikita namin, hindi kasi kaya may absorb ng weaving communities sapagkat lahat ng tinanim namin baka at mga pinya ay ready na for harvest. Kailangan meron siyang gawin para mas maging available pa siya sa ibang mga weaving communities outside. So, yun na po.
Maraming salamat, Ben. So, sa Region 6, parang voice from experience. Marami na silang experience in this particular area. And I think we have heard a lot of, shall we say, things to consider in this endeavor. And last but not least, may I call on Chris Sorens to make the presentation for Region 10.
Magandang hapon po. Sorry, is it okay if I speak Tagalog for our presentation? Well, I thought you were going to say no. Okay, sorry, it's going to be in English. We're going to move a little quickly. Our table talks about the bigger concepts when it comes to if this is feasible or implementable. I won't go through everyone's name. We had people from a bunch of different organizations who are all geniuses in their own right. I highly advise you stop by our table and say hi to all of them. Bottom line is that we do think that this project is feasible for Region 10. I'm going to give you a little background on Region 10 first, and then explain maybe why we think this, and give you a why, because there really is a why to this it being feasible. There is a strong vegan community currently in Region 10. However, it's a bit scattered, not necessarily organized in groupings. So there's communities, singular communities, where the vegan tradition is very strong, but they're not connected to other communities. The top fibers that we see encountered in Region 10, one is avocado, and two is it's prevalent in Region 10 is pineapple, but it's very underdeveloped. We saw that there was a need or a desire for people to work with pineapple fiber. There's a problem, getting them fibers that they need. And finally, they're working with mulberry silk very extensively in that area. But again, none of these communities seem to be connected to one another. In terms of who should run this facility, we didn't come up with any specific organization. The idea that the FIC model uses a template is fine. We discussed state universities being an option, that's fine. Anybody with any sort of organizational proficiency and desire to work in this industry, in these communities, we think would be fine to operate this. However, we need to maintain that the technical skills that are being taught by locals. Okay? So anybody with organizational skills, great, you can run a center. Okay? We need to make sure that we're keeping alive the technical skills. What we're doing by placing these centers in these communities, we're bringing, a foreign building, foreign concepts into an indigenous environment. So what we want to do is make sure that we're doing that with the trust of the local communities, bringing them in from the beginning and ensuring that they're an integral part of anything that's going to be taught at that center will help build that trust, will help build momentum for the center and the trust of other communities. The other thing is that's great for the technical side. We need to supplement that with sound business principles. Right? We need to make sure that the center can be sustainable. If whatever happens with government funding, we want to make sure we're not abandoning the people who we promised to create a sustainable supply chain in these centers. So obviously we want to make sure that they're the focal point of the training, but that we supplement that with sound business principles as well in a trusted environment. Really, finally, the big holdup with all of this seems to be processing. On the technical side, they need help processing. So desire to work with pineapple, nobody is processing or teaching how to process. Avocado is a very delicate fiber. It's very labor intensive and maintained. But nobody is processing, nobody's working with people to share the skill. So really that's one bottleneck is in processing. Processing the fibers to make them be spun in the yarn, be woven in anything. The second is integrating to business principles of these centers. Okay, we don't, it's not all about profit, it's not all about money, but you need to be sustainable, right? You need to keep them running, and also we need to maybe work on creating a new generation of entrepreneurs willing to make this a marketable, make it a desirable product for locals. What we're finding is that there's a really big gap in terms of what we might decide somebody should be weaving, what the market dictates that they want to purchase or they want to weave themselves. So we need to bridge that gap and make it a marketable, profitable product through these centers. Which leads me to my last point, which is really awareness and understanding of the communities involved. We're going to implement these centers in any region, in Region 10 especially, because that's the table I'm sitting at. We need to make sure we're aware of the local customs, local cultures, not bringing in anything that could be offensive to people, could be misunderstood, misconstrued. So that's where the trust comes in. So when you combine all of these things, we need to make sure each center in any region is focused on process, profit, and people.
Thank you, Chris. We have no more time for open forum or discussion, so I will just try to synthesize very quickly. It's really difficult to do a synthesis when there are different areas of, shall we say, focus. So other than the questions, the groups actually had different approaches. Starting from Region 1, I think what I consider very good in the presentation of Region 1 is that they were already very, shall we say, specific as to the material and community and location. They also identified exactly which institution would be best to run the Yarn Innovation Center, in this case PMMSU. They already specified the, shall we say, important conditions to proceed, like the capability in blending. Okay, sinabi nila yun. And what particularly interested me is that meron na silang champion. I heard the name of Dr. Kwanang, who is, of course, a retired, shall we say, a living back Ilocano, who is a very well-known neurologist, if I'm correct. Okay? And so, if PTRI wants to proceed, I can suggest that this is already one region where the concept is very clear. Okay. As far as Region 2 is concerned, there are a number of things that they brought out as very important, shall we say, reminders. And there are also new things that they presented, which to us is very valuable. The importance of maintaining demand, so-called market push, is very important because we cannot bring our communities into it and then leave them when there is no more demand or when there is a seasonal fluctuation, so this is where government support will be needed, and the importance of social entrepreneurship, because I think this idea involves a lot of social entrepreneurship. They also brought out one important thing, which I'm not sure will be, shall we say, easy to implement, and this is the movement of other materials from other regions. Because we are encouraging each region to put up their own, maybe some regions may be willing, others, like there is a group, I think Region 6 was willing to be a supplier also of material to other areas. And sabi nga nila, they need a very good manager for a yarn education center. Well, sa akin new ito, but to others this is not new anymore. This area silk, okay? Maybe one thing that may require more research as far as PTRI is concerned, because it looks not so difficult to propagate or to, I'm not sure, not as expensive as the mulberry silk in terms of production. Okay. The car approach is also, we can learn a lot from the approach in car, because here they first ask a number of questions before declaring this is feasible. And the first issue that they address is the market. And assuming that there is a market for the raw materials that we have, the products that we coming out of the raw materials, will the weavers use the materials available, considering that they are already doing it now with imported materials. And what is important also to consider is the matching of materials and the weavers needs. This is already identifying what the yarn innovation can do, or what it can contribute. The matching of materials against weavers needs, the innovation with blended fibers, and the retooling and training to use innovative fibers. So the suggestion here is since there's already activity going on as far as weaving, continue the current weaving, but start teaching the weavers the use of new threads and shall we say, a market piece of the markets for the new fabrics. As far as Limanop is concerned, we already heard the recommendation. They need more R&D, and they identified the provinces that has potential, Palawan and Luzon, and even the state university that can be tapped. And for Region 6, again, they were talking, some kind of talking from experience, you know. And this is the, I think, important reminder that Region 6 has given us. We had to tackle, since we are dealing with communities here, sharing of benefits, pricing, and the marketing approach, and doing different products for different markets. In other words, the innovation is not only in the yarn or in the wheat, but also in the end products coming out from this. There is also one very important reminder. I don't know how easy this is going to be done. Regulate the entry of China products and ukay-ukay. Okay, but these are realities that we have to contend with. They identify the provinces that has potentials in terms of raw materials and weavers, and yeah, I think they made a very strong statement that there's still a need for cotton, okay, so something can be done along this line. And finally, we saw a very good diagram coming from Region 10. And the bottom line is that we have to look into the process, the profitability, and the people. Okay, I think the important reminders given is that the person or the group that has to run the institution should have the right organizational and technical skills. Okay, and of course, it's very important to supplement technical expertise with sound business principles. So for technical, I think PDRI can still can be the one to address this. And finally, I think they stress one very important, shall we say, suggestion, and this is the need for a new generation of entrepreneurs in the locality. I don't know how, I'm sure it will be very difficult for PTRI, but perhaps for the different agencies located in the regions, this can be a very, very good challenge. No? All of us have seen some living communities where the people involved are age already. You can see from their appearance that they need a new generation of people. And I think the reminder that in making all these moves, we have to pay particular consideration, the practices, customs, traditions in the area, so that we will not offend these communities. So I think we had very good recommendations and suggestions. We will rely, of course, on PTRI, on PIDA. Sayang wala na yung DTI kasi yung market and I mean as far as the government agencies are concerned. And I really appreciate the presence of people from the universities and from the advocacy agency group, advocacy and NGO groups. We have also from the business community, you know, because after all, the end result will be products that will enter the market, and this will be the ones that will feed our communities. So the idea finally call on our director to give the closing remarks.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Boy, Professor Andy. Maraming salamat po sa inyong pagdalo. This was a very, very engaging. I really wanted to have more input coming from you guys, the stakeholders. And this is something that we're really looking to do on a continuing basis. As you must be aware, the stakeholder conferences were conducted early in 2014, and the view was to really learn from each other. We have to have those insights. Gusto ko lang pong susugan yung mga certain things that struck me. we really wanted to stress that we always make a differentiation. We differentiate. When we go to the communities and we look for the weaving communities, we make a distinction. If it is for cultural ethnic preservation, we leave it at cultural ethnic preservation. If it is for the domestic led, because weaving really as a tradition are really done in households. They are in the bahay-bahay. So hindi rin po namin yan, I have a great respect for the women who have this because they can really integrate their lives in many respects. And I have a great respect for those women who bring this into their homes. But I must say that the communities that we are looking to engage are the ones who are looking at this from a business perspective. And I don't want to use the word simply sustainable to define it. But as Chris had mentioned, and a number of other people have mentioned, it has to have a business orientation. We think, however, that if you focus on people and of course your environment and the community, the profits should follow. But that's your typical bottom line. No? So ang gusto ko lang i-emphasize is that we are really looking at the communities who are not on the cultural side. We love them to death. We'd like to keep them alive, not to death. And we are really very respectful of the ones on the domestic scale. But we're looking at the center, the ones who are in weaving operations as a business, as a sustainable business proposition. Okay? Pangalawa po, I also, or pangalawa rather, the reason that we showed you, or I was very particularly keen, we showed you the Kentucky cloth project. This was very, this was quite an achievement because hemp is their source or their base material. I just wanted to say something about cotton. We love cotton because we know it. We're familiar. And what is familiar is always easy. Why you understand it. You don't have to defend it, deny it. You know it. But you must also know that cotton is, as most things, yan. So I'm sure that our, we have a best friend in the DH Baita. Dr. Liana, you don't mind if I say that because he's always been very supportive. We come to visit, we come late, he's still there waiting for us. So I appreciate the courtesies and the hospitality. But cotton is not that simple. And if you look at the environment or the world view on cotton, it uses the most in resources. And it uses for the conversion, it uses the most in resources. I have to say that there is a difference in what they're doing, and this is why we're also very supportive of the idea in Pinili. It's because they're looking to the groundwork. It's going to be, for the most part, it's hand-picked. For the most part, it's going to be hand-spun. But we are looking to have the more commercial scale of spinning, simply because it should make things faster, and it should make the material available to more people, and so it will be cheaper, it will be more available, we will enjoy it more. But be aware that cotton is not a simple exercise. You please correct me. So therefore, that was the concept. Why were they looking at hemp? Why were they looking at those? It's another story altogether, but let me just say that back in the 60s, it actually was declared illegal to produce it, to grow it, because of the association with another cousin hemp. But you have to make a distinction. This is the industrial hemp. This is not the wheat that the generations of the 60s and the 70s are familiar with and the Cordilleras have a struggle with. So this is your industrial hemp. Different toxicity, different chemical structure. You don't get the same high, but it's hemp. So I don't know if that is a possibility. We were just informed that this has very low requirements. So this was part of the exercise we wanted to undertake. I love that Jean earlier today brought out the idea for me, because that was also our question. Whatever happened to Rami? This is the closest we have to linen, the closest, the cousin of flax and linen, and we lost it. So is it possible to bring it back? So we would like to find whether we can develop programs similar to the Kentucky Cloth Project, where it integrated these different government agencies together with the local community to produce and convert something from scratch. So I do think that we have some successes. We have a lot of successes. I hope that you make a lot of new friends, a lot of new people that we can now start making. Maybe we can form a Yahoo group, from farm to fashion Yahoo group. Maybe we can do that so we can all keep on exchanging information and learn from each other. With that, I would like to thank you very much for your cooperation, your participation, and for gracing us with your presence and your attendance. Maraming salamat. Pwede po maanyayahan po lahat tayo. Mag-aano na tayo. Class picture.